Hey there, welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. DJ Impact. We got Sin City Steve and Matt Michaels with us. Welcome to Wrestling Talk. We're gonna go over some of these past week shows and tell you what we like or dislike. So, thanks for hanging out with us. If you are live with us right now, make sure you use the comment button in YouTube. Um, the YouTube comment area, Twitch, or Facebook Live. Feel free to throw something in, and as we see fit, we will make sure to get it out. So, with that, and also for people who don't maybe watch us live, but you download the podcast, thanks for downloading, and hopefully you enjoy the show. Let's get right into it, fellas. A lot of wrestling again that took place this past week. Let's start off as we always do with our four-way stop. All right, Mr. Sin City Steve, what was some of your highlights you have for this week?
All right, so Jon Moxley is your undisputed AEW World Champion after defeating CM Punk on free TV in 3 minutes. I'll definitely be talking about this match a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But as the four-way stop is all about the biggest news in the business, this is definitely up there for sure. One thing that isn't being mentioned or talked about in relation to this match is that it occurred in Cleveland, Ohio, the same site of CM Punk's UFC debut, where he was destroyed by Mickey Gall. And also, Cleveland was the city in which CM Punk walked out on WWE. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, we'll talk about that match a little bit later. Elsewhere, Thunder Rosa now needs to take time away to recover from injury. So, yeah, there's going to be an interim women's champion in AEW.
Yeah, interim.
That'll be crowned at All Out September 4th in Chicago. Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker will go at it. And the woman who wins the match will be the interim AEW women's champion.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, like I said, newsworthy. And then after Jay Lethal defeated Dax Harwood in an absolutely great wrestling match, it was announced that at All Out, Wardlow and FTR would not be facing Lethal, Dutt, and Singh, but actually it would be Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. How about that one, Impact? What'd you think about that one? Yeah.
Like
You probably didn't even watch the show. Anyway,
I did watch it.
You realize that Shelly or Sabin will be eating the pin in that one, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Just keep my Impact guys off of your AEW show. I would appreciate it. Because we all know how it's going to go down. Okay. So, anyways, Mr. Matt Michaels, what you got, man?
How about that Grayson Waller effect? I like that. Let's keep that show going. And Apollo Crews and him being called out on why he has visions and how he can see shit. It's just like,
well,
so
hey,
ridiculous.
You know what? You mentioned that last week, and they brought it up this week. So hey, I mean it's a good thing that they're listening.
Loomis.
We wouldn't know that.
Kidnapping the Miz. Lord knows where the Miz is, but apparently the cops didn't find him because they arrested Loomis, but we have not heard about where the Miz is. So, maybe Loomis ate his face or something. That would be nice. Right. You never know. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Johnny Wrestling's back. Johnny fucking Wrestling is back.
Yep.
Johnny Wrestling is back.
That's right.
So, if you haven't heard, he's back, and it's fucking amazing. And he cut a promo that was wonderful, and then he fucking, of course, gets in it with Theory. Great stuff, and I am so impressed by the fact that everyone has been able to keep shit off of the dirt sheets.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great. So,
right.
We'll see more of that surprise shit, but a bunch of great wrestling this week too. including Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. So good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. For myself, I definitely want to shout out for Raw the Finn Balor and Dolph Ziggler match. That I thought was really good. Man, the zigzag nor the famouser looked like that got kicked out by Finn Balor there, but very good stuff there because I thought that was going to be it when that happened. Over in NXT, I had mentioned the Waller effect as well. That was absolutely awesome to see that whole thing went down. Definitely, they should keep that type of show going. For Impact Wrestling, Mia Yim and Jordan Grace had a match against Vexed. Now, Vexed is a team of Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. They are the Knockout World Tag Team Champions, and they had their the match, which they won. So it's a little bit more coming on to that because Deonna Purrazzo did have a pin on Jordan Grace, and that's going to build to something up later. SmackDown, Ricochet, Happy Corbin. I thought that was a pretty cool match. You wouldn't think that we've seen them get down before, but I mean to put on a good, and I don't know what the full time was, but it looked like it could at least went 15 minutes of a match, but it was done well. It was very entertaining, considering you didn't think Ricochet maybe was going to come out on top, but he did. And I think, you know what? Why not? Why not? Death Triangle versus the United Empire. Hey, okay. Listen, it was a good match. I mean, again, if it's just about the wrestling itself, it meets the criteria. But if you're looking for anything that's storyline related, not necessarily nothing there. I'm gonna go ahead and shout that one out. Sorry, Mr. Michaels. All right. How about we go now to our Too Sweet for the week? All right, Matt Michaels, what you got?
Staying along the lines with Loomis getting arrested or kidnapping Miz. The arrest at NXT was pretty sweet, especially because he kidnapped the Miz in Canada, yet it was the Florida police who arrested him in Orlando. So international incident caused by Dexter Loomis. But we got to see Index back together, and that's what we want to see. We want to see Index and those happy lovebirds continue their story, which was wonderful to see. How about what was that?
It was a big pop.
It was, man. It was. Lights out match between Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu. Whew. Those two, got to give it to them. They beat the fuck out of each other. And we got to see a spot that we haven't seen, which is going through a bed, which was pretty interesting. Nice way to set up, something that's a little different. And it was literally a lights out match. Give it that, right. That lighting effect. Yeah, it was all right. And also, Johnny Wrestling is back, baby. Johnny fucking Wrestling is back. Man, him and Theory are going to tear it up. And boy, that kick to the face of Theory was something else. Really well timed. And again, Austin Theory, one of the best sellers in the business. He just took that and went down like a pile of bricks. Beautiful.
Yeah. Sin City, what you got?
All right. So, Impact, I will echo your sentiment about Will Ospreay and Aussie Open versus the Death Triangle. All six guys pushed it to the limit. The match closed out Dynamite, what ended up being a very interesting episode of Dynamite, on a high note. And surprisingly enough, the United Empire actually advanced in the tournament, which was quite an upset, if I do say so myself. I know that not many people were pegging them to actually win the match. Right. But, of course, next week on Dynamite, that means that we're going to get Will Ospreay and Aussie Open versus Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. wow, give those guys 30 minutes, let them put on a show. The only thing that really hurt that match, the 6-man match, was the commercial break, the numerous commercial breaks. I fucking abhor picture in picture at this point. The Cleveland fans that were in that audience that had to deal with that other match that occurred on that show, at least this was some sort of compensation for it, I guess. Also, Michaels, Johnny Wrestling. I didn't want to steal your thunder. I wanted you to be the one because you mainly talk about WWE stuff. So I wanted to let you be the one to say it. But yes, too sweet for Johnny Wrestling coming back. And, you know, it's now he can actually be Johnny Wrestling. And they can call him that. He can be that in canon now that wrestling is not a dirty word or a bad word. And it certainly appears that we are starting to get NXT Black and Gold on the main roster with bigger budgets and more airtime. Here we fucking go.
Good stuff, man. Too sweet for me. Damian Priest versus Edge. Damian Priest, man, this guy, I tell you, I know he's come in later in his life, but I mean, he's a beast. I would like to see him truly elevated to even get to a higher spot. I'm just saying. You know, been a fan of his for a while, but it's a great match that was put in for that. For NXT, yes, the same thing with the Wendy Chu and Tiffany Stratton I put down. Definitely that lights out match was awesome. I also like, well, if I have to do the too sweet, I just like how Tony D'Angelo was just yelling at Delgado for doing lucha libre moves. He doesn't like all this flippy, and that was just a good moment. I just loved it. He was just yelling. He was so pissed, even if they were doing well. I mean, he just don't like them doing it. Another too sweet for me for Impact Wrestling. There was a match between Motor City Machine Guns and Kushida, which have their own team called Time Machine. So Time Machine went against VBD, and that I thought was a pretty good match as well for that. You seem like you lost, Matt Michaels. You good?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't watch Impact. I don't know. All right, let me keep going.
So real quick, Impact. I just want to interject. Kushida was a former tag partner of Alex Shelley in New Japan.
Okay.
So they have history, and it's really cool that they kind of brought all that together.
Got you, no doubt.
You lost me at Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh God,
what?
This guy is wrapped in WWE, isn't he? Let me finish right quick. The too sweet when the Brawling Brutes and Gunther was out, and they had that stare down. And while the guys were fighting amongst that was just awesome right there. How shout out to Ludwig, Butch, all of them. I mean, it didn't take away from the stare down. I'm actually interested in this match. If on paper, I was like, okay, it might, but watching what they did, I'm just saying. I know on paper, but with Gunther also with that strong voice he have, I mean, he comes very powerful on the mic. It really comes out like some real legit shit. Like, I'm really excited to see this match. This whole thing that's coming out in Wales is going to be one awesome show. I'm almost jealous I'm not there. Anyway, sorry, I went longer than I went, but that was too sweet. All right, let's go into our next one here, WTF. I think I'm most annoyed with the commentators at AEW. I just don't really find them entertaining at all. They are really just boring. I try. Commentary is the one thing that keeps us entertained as we're watching what we're seeing on the screen. So I love how the banter between Corey and Saxton goes between the two. Or Pat and Cole. I love to hear that. And even Vic and what's his name? But when I listen to AEW, it's just it's like, what are they sometimes they just stop talking about the match. They talk about other things outside of the match. They talk about other matches. They talk about things they may want to see. It has nothing to do with a lot of times with what's happening in the ring. Now, yes, I'm sure JR is the big reason for a lot of that, but the guys just go along with it and they don't bring it back around to what we're actually seeing. I don't know. To me, that is just the most. Oh, Excalibur.
He's fucking useless.
Yeah,
he's vanilla as shit. He's vanilla as shit, Steve.
Yeah.
You got him, man.
It's just horrific. Commentaries should be the most important thing to what we're watching, and I just find it to just be horrific listening to. But that's mine for this week. Let me go over to you, Sin City. What did you have?
Okay. Yeah. So, for me, I don't necessarily have an issue with Excalibur, but that's just my taste versus you guys. That's not a. That's not a big
Excalibur is full of he's got full of information, right? He just knows all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But
honestly, it all depends on if you want people to cite, statistics and, past feuds, past stables, move sets, actual moves, that kind of stuff.
He's not a color commentator though on their show. That's the problem.
I get it. And ultimately it just comes down to whatever taste that you prefer. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue talking about AEW. Yes, this is where I'm going to talk about that title unification match that you did for free.
Yeah.
That you did with next to no notice in an afterthought announcement on a show. You slotted it in the middle of the show. You gave it 3 minutes. I see the story that they were trying to tell, but God, it's going to set up Punk winning the title at AEW's marquee show in Chicago. All Out. God, man. This was just layer upon layer upon layer of bullshit from the beginning. And, this is coming from somebody who, out of the two, was pulling for Mox to win this feud and to win this match, which really no one saw coming. And, it did pop a rating. They did get over 1 million viewers. But if you slot it in the middle of the show, if you've seen the quarter hours, as soon as the match was over, 100,000 people just turned off.
Wow.
They were done. Elsewhere, Squash fucking City on Rampage, man. It's getting more and more ridiculous. 2 squash matches right in the middle of the show. 3 if you count the Sammy and Ty versus Ortiz and Ruby Soho match. I mean, come on. If I wanted to watch AEW Dark, I would watch AEW Dark, and I usually do. Elsewhere, gotta love WWE security. Graves saying that Dexter doesn't work there when he clearly does, or else he would have been swarmed by security. Willing suspension of disbelief was murdered. And speaking of murdered, though, in the Death Triangle promo, Pac saying, "We're not going to kill you, we're going to murder you." That's kind of the same fucking thing, brother. What the fuck?
Good points there. Really good points. Mr. Matt Michaels.
Seamus, you're 44 years old. Don't use the word banger, let alone over and over and over. And with that Irish accent, it just was like, dude, shut up. Thunder Rosa losing her smile. And yes, an interim champ. Oh, that's what we need. Interim champs. Fucking ridiculous. Father versus son for the first time in AEW. Whoopie fucking do.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Swerve and Lee, they saved the Acclaimed, and now they're wrestling them at the pay-per-view because what the fuck? Why not? Let's have no story and let's just have 2 babyface teams go against each other.
Right.
Good idea. Punk versus Mox, shorter than the finger poke of doom, I believe. Taz summed it up. What the hell just happened? Was his exact quote. I agree. Okay, here's the reason why they shouldn't do this interim belt shit. Mox poses with both belts in the ring. And then he fucking leaves one belt in the ring and leaves with just one title. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
If Moxley shaves his head, he'd look like a deflated Triple H. That was an observation. That was interesting. Oh, look, it's the guys from Mexico versus the guys from Japan. Well, I guess I know exactly where Steve got his boner during the week. Uh, and then look, it's Kip. Nobody gives a flying fuck Saban.
Right.
Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and that team from Impact, because they had to bring back an Impact team into them. Do they not have enough teams in AEW to do this? And finally, what the fuck? Johnny Wrestling is fucking back. What the fuck?
Absolutely. All good points, man. Yeah. All right. Let's go out to the lookout. See what we're looking for. All right. Let me see what I'm looking out for. I tell you what, almost everything that's going to be on this coming week's SmackDown, I'm looking out for all of it. They have a Roman Reigns celebrates a 2-year championship reign. Hey, I don't like that look there, Sin City. The Ronda Rousey final judgment, okay, whatever. But Karrion Kross in ring debut, I'm excited for that. And then the Maximum Male Models gets Hit Row. Yes, I'm so excited about that. Oh man. And I think let's see. I think that's all I pretty much put for that. A lot of it was but really just the upcoming shows, man. Even with World Collide, and that right there. I mean, down the line. Oh, and shout out to I love that JD McDonough when he was talking in that promo, and then come to be this guy is talking upside down. I'm telling you, I'm becoming a huge fan of this guy right here. I'm telling you, every week it's like he just does something that's just more amazing.
So wait, so it's spectacular to you because he can talk upside down?
Yeah, and not just talk upside down, but you didn't know he was upside down. That's why. Good shit, man.
Please, at the end of this, please just turn your camera over and be doing this whole show upside down. It will be fucking a great reveal.
I won't do that. World Collide though, and then of course we talked about the show going down, the main pay-per-view going down this weekend. So anyway, I'm looking forward to a lot of things this week, but starting Friday, it seemed like it's just going to be just hit after hit after hit. So I'm excited for that. Let me go over to you, Matt Michaels. What are you looking out for?
Worlds Collide. You got Braun versus Tyler Bate. And as much as McDonough is exciting, you forget how good Tyler Bate is because he's been over there. And don't forget, too, we're losing the 2.0, it looks like, in NXT. Yeah. So get ready for that. And, this kind of end of NXT UK and potentially the start of NXT Europe. So there's a lot of things going down. Plus, we get as it was said, a women's triple threat match. So that should be pretty awesome. They did show Nia Jax in that Shayna package. So might that be a hint that Nia Jax might be coming back? Because why else would you show her? Food for thought.
Didn't they showed the other person too, right? Who's the other one that's not a part of the company?
I don't know. Wasn't
Shayna beat. I was some. I don't know. Give me a second.
Oh well, whatever. But you're right. Sheamus versus Gunther is going to be fucking a great match, and it looks like Sheamus and the boys are going face. So that should be kind of interesting if they kind of keep that trending towards that way. Be interesting. And Johnny Wrestling, got to be looking forward to him versus Austin Theory coming up. And if you're having a baby, get your baby wrestling t-shirt, because that baby wrestling shirt is going to be available in the shop zone sometime soon. So look out for Johnny Wrestling. He's back.
Absolutely. Sin City Steve, what you got?
They're gonna fucking do it, aren't they? They're gonna have the Dark Order go to the finals of this trios title tournament to face Kenny Omega and the Bucks. Just like I said, they already planted the seed too on Rampage this week, with 10 having his knee getting tweaked and becoming a target.
Mm-hmm.
So I could easily see next week Best Friends take out his knee, Dark Order advance, and then that sets up the drama. The Dark Order don't have a third man. Who are they going to bring in to face Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks but Hangman Adam Page?
Hulk Hogan. He's the third man, right?
No. Anyway.
But Steve, question, and I'll stop the clock. Question. If you do that, do you not have Hangman Page turn on the Dark Order right then and there?
No.
Oof.
No.
Oof.
Because realistically, it all depends on how they want to go with him. But they've been rumored as wanting to have the Red Dragon and Adam Cole feud with the Bucks and Omega. So realistically speaking, I think that I don't think there's going to be any kind of a turn that happens between the two. Maybe Hangman finally embraces the fact that he is a member of the Dark Order. Elsewhere, I am genuinely curious as to what's going to happen with Daniel Garcia, who, dare I say, showed some acting chops in his promo this week compared to what we're used to seeing from him. Anyway, Chris Jericho will be facing Bryan Danielson at All Out. They might as well just make this a custody of Daniel Garcia match. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yes, I am definitely looking forward to what is going to happen at Clash at the Castle. Drew and Roman has me intrigued because they're building it up like as if Matt's favorite wrestler, Drew McIntyre, will be the one to knock Roman down from his pedestal in front of his hometown crowd. Keep in mind, Vince isn't at the helm anymore, so they might actually let somebody go over in one of their home cities, or at least somewhere close to his home. Gunther and Sheamus is going to be great, if for no other reason than we're going to be able to see bright red handprints on Sheamus's chest for a solid week after the show, because Gunther throws the hardest chops in the business and Sheamus just shows effects of anything. Bravo WWE. You have me intrigued more for a pay-per-view that's not on this continent than what you have in a couple of months. Great fucking work.
Listen, me and we have a little extra time anyway. Listen, let me just say this. I was also beginning to think about that same thing about Drew somehow maybe knocking him off. Because at first I'm like, well, who else is he going to fight? Now that we do have Karrion Kross, of course, you could go with that. But I'm like, would they be ready to? In fact, Karrion hasn't even really said much about Roman. His attacks has all been on Drew. So I've just been wondering, I'm wondering if.
So, I mean, you could main event the house shows with Kross versus McIntyre.
They will be. Will be. That's what you'd be doing because Roman won't be on him. And the thing is though, so you got a package about Drew. You know, you got these like build-up packages. Right. That usually is not a good sign because they want you to invest in that person. And booking wise,
But Roman also ended that show with the chair over his neck, and then normally it would be the other way around. Drew
you got this Friday.
There's one more week. Right. But what I just want to say is keep in mind Vince is no longer in charge of creative.
Yeah,
one of the big reasons why I was a huge fan of NXT 1.0 and the Black and Gold brand was because we got great matches. We got what we wanted in the end. So they capped storylines in a particular way. And quite frankly, I loved when Hunter was doing NXT. Absolutely great stuff. Yeah. And I know that we all felt pretty much the same on that. But keep in mind, I mean, it's a whole different ballgame now.
Yeah, but at the same time, Wrestling 101 says Karrion Kross costs him the belt because you're not going to put 2 titles on Drew. There's no way. And if they do that, what are you doing? You just blew Roman's this whole time. You blew it on one show.
No,
for one crowd.
One thing that I did kind of bring up last week that could be an interesting wrinkle is that, you know, we haven't seen a contract signing for this match. Okay. So what if, hypothetically, fantasy booking 101, what if you had the match go down, you have Drew win the match, get the big pop that he never got for winning a world championship in front of a crowd? Because keep in mind, his first world championship happened during the pandemic with no live crowd reaction. Mm-hmm. You can give him that huge ovation and that pop. And then what happens on Monday is maybe the wise man comes out, or Friday, the wise man comes out and just mentions, hey, you might want to take a look at the contract. And maybe that's one way that you split the titles. And that way Roman can still hold one of the titles. I'm just trying to think of ways that they can make it.
Either way, if you put a belt on him, you have Roman actually getting pinned. I don't see it. I do not see it.
At what point does Roman get pinned? Are we banking this to when the so-called Rock going to happen at Mania?
Rock Roman doesn't need a world championship.
They don't. Exactly. So when
that can be a main event unto itself.
So when does it happen?
The good thing is that you have somebody like Triple H now in charge of creative that knows that.
Right.
And he can use that championship to elevate other people. So I think that that's one other thing that, you know, I keep saying it, but Hunter does not tend to insult our intelligence as fans. That's the number one lesson I learned from the entire time that I was watching NXT. And you know,
isn't it insulting though as a fan to then just get the, you know, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't in this situation, because you can say, well, it insults my intelligence to keep having Roman win. But then you can say, well, it insults my intelligence because obviously you're giving him this belt in his, you know, hometown. You're just getting a pop, like you said. You literally said that.
Completely.
So why why does it matter? I you know, and we can go straight to the fact that if CM Punk wrestles the fucking pay-per-view against Moxley, you put it on TV for him to just go and win in front of the fucking Chicago crowd.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. But that will be what happens.
But that to me is, if you're going to say, well, you know, Vince insulted your intelligence, then you got to say, well, that is the same thing.
Completely. That's one big reason why I mentioned that in my WTF this week, dude.
So like, it's hard, but it's hard. It's hard because it is an either or. You take either side of, in this case, the sword, because it's true. But again, the question is, that's great, but Drew McIntyre, is he?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Who wins Roman Reigns?
I'll tell you this. The only reason why I think that it maybe won't happen would probably be because of the time of the show. Unfortunately, us in the States won't be able to watch it. Watch it at a larger group of people in terms of if it was
you got to work. Is it work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all know that most people are going to be working.
Oh no, dude.
Or sleeping. Whichever time it comes. What time it comes on our time?
11 a.m. our time.
Yeah. See?
Right in time for lunch, bro. You can take your lunch break.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
All right. We'll see.
Come on, man. How much of a dedicated fan are you, Impact?
I gotta make that money, man.
You got your phone.
I'm like Heath, man. I got
your phone at work.
I'm like Heath, man. I got kids to feed. Oh, and by the way, Matt Michaels, that other person they showed in the video, because I'm like, there was someone else. It was Eva Marie. So should we think maybe she will be making a return too?
No, but I think Nia Jax is a very high possibility.
Okay.
Think about it. Again, you
All
got
right.
a different person in charge, and Nia is someone who, you know, it's not like she isn't part of, I don't know, a Samoan dynasty. So
Yeah. Listen, I for a minute thought the same thing when I saw it until I saw Eva Marie, and I was like, well, that threw that whole thing out the way. All right, here we go. That's the show. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Raw. And I just love when they do things that's so subtle that you just it's perfect example. The show starts, there's just a little bit of pyro, like what the heck's going on? The next thing you know, the camera's running through Gorilla, and there's this big fight between Seth and Riddle going on. All right. Then after all that's taken care of, they go ahead and they finish with the rest of the pyro. Like that's something that is different, right? You don't get to see that all the time. Or the fact that there's a backstage interview going, and then you see Adam Pearce come through with security. And then you notice this is before we fully knew it was like Dexter, right? He has a picture of Dexter and he's holding it in a position where you now can clearly see it's him. And then he holds it, puts it back up. That shit, I was having my moment, Sin City Steve. I know Matt Michaels is saying that you was having your moment with the Japan and that was my moment when I was seeing all of that happen in the background. And then of course later on in the show, which by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw it out there because I really don't know. So I'll allow you guys to go ahead and clown me. I didn't catch who was the the other guy before Dexter that came out. Who was that?
Guy. It was an indie guy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just an indie guy. Okay, I was like, maybe I'm missing something there. Like he's maybe a big name I didn't catch. Okay.
Not that we're aware of right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Raw, definitely Raw. Just to continue, good stuff there. Io Sky and Dakota versus Alexa and Asuka. Lashley, AJ Styles, Ciampa, Miz, all of it. So of course we got a chance to see Trish Stratus, which looked amazing, by the way. Shout out to her. Yeah, Raw for me. Let me go over to you. How about you, Matt Michaels? What was your best in show?
Yeah, Raw by far was it was great. So was NXT, so was SmackDown. The backstage stuff on SmackDown, when they were interviewing Natalya and Sonya, in the background, Doudrop and Nikki Ash were arguing the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
Which, if they're going to do stuff like that, they do have to learn how to become better background actors, because it was ridiculous, because no one talks like this the whole fucking time for 3 minutes of just doing this, where you can't hear anything when you have microphones that are within the vicinity. So,
right.
But they're doing that. They're doing all that little type of stuff. But obviously the best in show this week was Johnny fucking Wrestling. Period. Hello. Welcome
That's
back.
right. Which is Raw. All right, Sin City. What was yours, man?
I think for the first time.
August
28th, 2022.
Go ahead and mark this
the
down.
Birthday of my mother. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you.
Oh, there you go.
We are all going to say the same show. Raw.
Nice.
And okay, so here's the thing. Raw felt like a mini pay-per-view. It felt like more than a traditional weekly show. We had the shotgun start to the show, like what you had just mentioned, Impact. That type of an intro is something that they need to do different iterations of, but don't make it an every single week thing, but at the same time make it feel like as if anything can happen in the WWE,
right?
That kind of a thing. That Trish Stratus, holy shit. Okay. So we literally were 43 minutes into the show, and we just now mentioned Trish Stratus. So that's massive. And she is going to be doing stuff for WWE. I haven't seen how extensive her schedule is going to be or anything like that, but she looked amazing.
You did.
And it's going to be great to allow some of the younger women to, kind of get a little bit of a rub from working with her. Hello. And yeah, I mean, elsewhere, Johnny fucking Wrestling. You had Edge versus Damian Priest.
Yes.
It felt like a mini pay-per-view, and it was a great show. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a 3-hour fucking Monday Night Raw, but here we are. Wow.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, guys. That is our wrestling talk. And thanks for hanging out with us. And if you're watching us live, we're going to be right back with our 3 count. And if you're not watching us live and listening to the download, thanks for downloading. All right. We'll do it all over again next time. Until then, take care. Happy wrestling to y'all. Peace.